Let's talk about child labor. This problem of forcefully employing kids to mass produce clothes has gone worse year by year. Many big companies you know today have been in scandals regarding child labor, such as Zara, Nike, Apple, Disney, and I could go on. Roughly 160 million kids were forced into labor during the start of the pandemic. 79 million of the kids work dirty and dangerous jobs, and 9 million additional kids are at risk due to COVID 19. All that accounts for 1 in 10 children worldwide being put into hazardous work that directly endangers their health. More than 30 million of the children live outside their country of birth, which means this heavily increases the chances of them being trafficked for sexual exploitation or other work. Speaking of sexual exploitation, 17% of child labor victims are in services regarding sex trafficking. A lot of people look past the consequences of child labor, as it includes extreme bodily and mental harm, malnutrition, abuse, exposure to chemicals, many more, and could even lead to death. Continuing child labor could massively affect the economy, as the more child workers there are, the lower the wages of jobs that the children work in. This will eventually cause a cycle of poverty, as low wages mean people won't be able to afford their daily necessities. All these companies that secretly use the work of children, as you know, are breaking the law, as no companies are allowed to employ children for labor. If you have been surfing the internet recently, you may have seen the Shein help messages on clothing tags. Shein is a very popular clothing company that recently has skyrocketed, and they have thousands of workers made to mass produce cheap clothing, and these employees do not get their promised pay. The reason that this company is so massive is because of their marketing techniques. They mass produce cheap quality clothing, take other companies' clothing modeling, and sell their clothes for ridiculously cheap. When people see how dramatically cheap the clothes are, they constantly buy from this company as it is a cheaper alternative, therefore putting the very strained workers back to their constant work. This company doesn't exactly use child labor, but instead forces and abuses their workers. Many companies are at fault for this exact same thing, not just Shein. They are not paying their customers or putting their employees to physically and mentally straining work. Even companies such as Disney and Nike use sweatshops with kids in them to produce their items, as they are big companies and these products are in heavy demand, therefore causing the children to work even harder than most people. The process to end child labor has stalled for the very first time in 20 years, evidently increasing child labor after the decrease in child labor by 94 million that we have seen between 2000 and 2016. By 2025, UN member states are heavily committed to hopefully ending all forms of forced labor, modern slavery, and child labor. And the only way that we can fight this is by spreading awareness on this problem, supporting the NGOs such as Save the Children, and implementing more stringent laws regarding child labor and many more. And another way that we can stop this is if you get out there and start to make a difference, as this would not be something you'd want for your own kid. Now let's get work to save the kids.